Howdy, folks. Greyhawk 4x4 coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer. Coming at you live on this Sunday. Put a little more light on there. Hope everybody's doing well. I don't know how long this live is going to go because I am having uh, stomach problems and don't know how long I'm going to be broadcasting here. So the acid reflux. When you get old, acid reflux is a serious thing. It rears its ugly head from time to time. So you learn that you cannot eat. Hey Chupa, you learn that you can't eat like you did when you were in your 20s or even in your 30s. So you still want to eat that way, but I got a straggler there. But you can't. So anyway, this might actually go maybe a half an hour. I'm thinking. But for our show and tell today, we talked about this last week, the Alpha Omega game, and we'll show that. We'll go through that. We'll look at the gaming news and stuff like that. Hey, Colin, how are you? Yeah, Chupa, you can attest to the fact that there's a definite timer for when you get past like 50 years old. There's a timer on each night. Like, okay, you can't eat. There's no eating red sauce after like 7 p.m. No way. Um, yeah, you won't be able to sleep because you'll be getting the acid reflux. The heartburn will be horrible and everything. So, but other than that, it has been a pretty good week. We are looking at see who the participants are here. Okay. We played Friday, and I did tweet out a few pictures. We did have a very precarious situation right as we started playing. We got back to the dungeon, and it's a miracle we got out of that. So, but we'll go into that when I do the recap, the gaming recap, the campaign recap, I should say. We'll get into that then. I think I seem to get a pretty good reaction from the tweets, the live tweets, as we're playing. People seem to like that. So, and it's usually just of the game board itself, just the game map. So, let's see. I did want to jump into the gaming news stuff here real quick because there was a story that caught my eye that I thought you guys might find interesting if you did not see it. CD Projekt Red stock is worth a quarter of what it was before Cyberpunk 2077 released. I have never seen a more poignant indicator. Excuse me. I'm telling you, the story detailing that is the most poignant dictator of why game companies shouldn't put out games that aren't finished. That is the most spot on example. Think about that. 1/4 of what it was worth. Its stock should have went up because I haven't gone back to play it, but I've heard that it's pretty much been fixed now. If it had been proper when it was released, now mind you, they would have obviously had to delay it some more, so that would have hurt. But the fact that their stock dropped by 3/4 afterward is just, and the fact that it's been out now for quite some time, the stock hasn't bounced back. So that's saying that gamers have lost their confidence in the company, and investors, because gamers have lost their confidence, investors have lost confidence in the company. So if any of the big developers out there are paying attention, there's a prime example of why uh, it pays to finish the games before you put them out. Hey Bastille, how are you? So if you just popped in, Bastille, I'm just talking about the gaming news article that came out. Let's see, um, came out 2 days ago. CD Project Red stock is worth a quarter of what it was before Cyberpunk 2077 released. So it has taken 3/4 of its value. It lost 3/4 of its value. Um, that's crazy. Now, again, what will they have to do? I ask you guys out there. I have my own opinions, but what do you guys think they would have to do now um, to regain their former glory and the confidence in the company? Um, uh, Witcher 4, will Witcher 4, if it comes out and the trailers and everything look good beforehand, will that be enough for people to have their confidence back to say they're going to start, they're going to buy that game? Or is it just the name alone, the Witcher name? So I personally think that it will take not only the game, like trailers coming out for Witcher 4 and all that, not only that, for it to look good in the trailers and all that, it will have to release. It will have to release well and uh, finished, finished form, and get good reviews. Then I think that CD Projekt Red's reputation will start to rebound. Now, how that will affect their stock price and how long it will take for their stock price to come back, who knows? But the reason that there's an ancillary, I think is how you say it, word, or ancillary um, uh, effect that this is having, and I think that is going to be on GOG.com. So GOG, which of course is a gaming platform where you can buy games, and that's owned by CD Projekt Red. That's their platform. My understanding is that GOG has also been losing money. So could it also be a byproduct of their stock price diving and people losing confidence that GOG goes away? Because I know a lot of us, I don't know how many games I have on GOG. I think it's close to 100 maybe. But a lot of people have a big library on GOG. Is there a possibility that it could just go away if it's not making money and they don't get a rebound on their company stock and everything? So that's something else to think about too, if you use GOG. So anyway, that was just one of the stories that kind of jumped out at me that I thought you guys, if you didn't already hear about it, might find interesting. Let's see if there's anything else out. Oh, let's talk about WoW Dragonflight. So WoW Dragonflight is in closed alpha right now, and let's put that on Do Not Disturb. So Dragonflight is in closed alpha right now. So it sounds to me like that's pretty much influencers and critics and so forth are getting review copies and getting to test it in the alpha form, because I've seen videos about Dragonflight already out there, which I'm sure everybody else has too. Now you guys already know my personal take is that I'm not going to give Blizzard any of my money, because Bobby Kotick not only did not get booted out of the company as he should have, he got reelected to the board. So they're basically putting all their money and everything else behind Bobby Kotick, and I won't support that because the guy is poison. Um, and I'm not going to give him any of my money. Uh, I even looked at the collector's edition, which I normally buy the collector's editions of the expansions for World of Warcraft. No way in hell am I going to do that. I'm not going to give them a dime of my money. Not while that absolute cretin of a human is still working, still the CEO. I mean, that's insanity. So, um, are any of you guys following or interested in the Dragonflight thing at all, or are you guys over it too? Because I haven't looked to see what World of Warcraft's. I haven't looked to see what their subscriber numbers um, currently are estimated at. Because I don't think anybody really knows, but there's people out there that do estimates and so forth. Let's see if there's anything else. Oh, a multi-billion crypto lender just filed for bankruptcy. Yeah, it's almost like I stayed away from crypto and NFTs and all that stuff because just didn't have any confidence in it. And I don't know. I mean, I could end up being wrong. This could end up being a blip and it could come back, but I'm not having anything to do with it. Let's see here. I think that's it for the big news stories in gaming. I don't see much else out there. Oh, I did have a question for you guys. So for Starfield, um, they're making it a big deal about the fact that the protagonist is uh, is going to be silent, and they're comparing it to Fallout 4, where the protagonist was voiced over for certain dialogue um, uh, sequences. You would hear your character's, voice and so forth anytime you're dealing with NPCs and all that. And they're making a big deal of it to say that Starfield's protagonist, your character that you're going to play, is going to be silent, which is like Skyrim because your character doesn't speak. It's not voiced over. If anybody's at the keyboard, um, let me know what you think about that because I personally like the fact in Fallout 4 the character has a voice. I'm not sure, and apparently a lot of people did not like that. I guess I'm very much in the minority with regard to that feature. How do you guys feel about it? Are you guys pro um, voiced over protagonist, or are you pro silent protagonist in those types of games? Because I didn't think it was even an issue, but apparently it is. Let's see here. So either nobody is at the keyboard. Oh, there we go. I dig the voiceover. If the voice is good, it doesn't bother me either way regarding the voiceover. Okay, so you guys are both ambivalent on the issue. I'm trying to figure out, like, let me see if I can find the story, because apparently it's a to a lot of people it's a big deal, and I'm not sure why. So I guess people say that it says in the story that I read that something about the fact that it takes away from them being able to role play as their character. Um, but let's see here. Starfield silent protagonist. Let's see here. Okay, on Game Rant, Starfield's silent protagonist has one advantage over Fallout 4's voiced protagonist. And it's a long story. I mean, a long feature here that they're going into about all this. Good role playing doesn't end with a silent protagonist. I mean, I don't know. Hmm, maybe I'm missing. It's something I'm missing, I guess. But I'll link. I will put this in this right here. If you guys want to check out the story, you guys can. So because I like when I was playing Skyrim, I don't even think I noticed the fact that the character was silent. Um, but having said that, now after playing all the hours I've played on Fallout 4, if I was to go back and play Skyrim, um, maybe that would bother. Maybe it would bother me that when my character's trying to give responses and so forth, I'm not hearing any voice or anything. Who knows? But anyway, there it is. If you guys want to check it out for yourselves. Let's see here. Oh, so we're 16 minutes in. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I'm gonna do this show and tell real quick here for you guys. For anybody that came in later, I'm not feeling great, so I don't plan this to be like a full hour live. So um, we're gonna do this show and tell real quick here. This is the Alpha Omega game that I talked about last week. We talked about tabletop tactical battle simulation games, and this is a game of tactical combat in space. So when I compared it to like Panzer Leader, which was like World War II battlefield tactical, tabletop game, and I said that this is basically the same type of thing, but in space. That's basically what it is. And I'll read this on the back here. Here's the back. If you guys want to see that, this is by Avalon Hill. Alpha Omega is a tactical simulation of space combat in the distant future. The game portrays the conflicts that arose between the three races: human, drove, and Rylish. So they even fleshed out different two other races, something called the drove and something called the Rylish. So let's open this sucker up here. And this came out, I want to say late 70s, mid to late 70s. So Colin says, I didn't like Fallout 4's dumbed down responses. I prefer to know what I'm actually saying. So are you talking about like on the dialogue options that you're able to respond with? Because a lot of them were pretty stupid. I'll give you that. You're absolutely right. But the fact that the voiceover, I don't know that changed the stupidity of the actual response, the options that you have to respond. I think that was just bad writing. But to each their own. I mean, the voiceover itself didn't necessarily bother me, but you're right about the stupid responses. Yes, the choices that like some of them in some of the instances that we were given, it's like, well, my character wouldn't do wouldn't respond with any of those because none of those make any sense. So I get that. So we'll start out here with. So I wanted to start off just to show you guys like it has a date on it, but this thing is complete, including they even had the Avalon Hill order form back in the day when you had to do everything mail order. So there was your order form if you wanted to order additional games and stuff like that from Avalon Hill. And the interesting part about this is, I don't know if it'll come out. It probably won't come out on camera, but this logo right here for MasterCard, right there, that doesn't say MasterCard. It says Master Charge. The difference is when Master Charge first came out, all you had was American Express, you had Visa, and you had like Diners Club as far as credit cards went. And Visa was backed by Bank of America. MasterCharge came out as a competitor to Visa, and I don't remember what bank it was, but it was only one bank that had the MasterCharge. And then they ended up franchising it to where, just like Visa did, where any bank, anybody could put out a credit card, and have it associated with some other bank or whatever. And so it was called MasterCharge at the beginning, and then when they franchised out, it became MasterCard. But what this shows shows you how old this is, because that's going way, way back. That most people have no idea that originally it was called MasterCharge. This is a little piece of trivia for you. Here is the Alpha Omega log sheet. So you got a whole bunch of these, and it looks like this is, I don't know if any of this was ever used, because this looks complete. But there's the log sheets, and that was to allow you to keep track of all your units and your energy, your sensors, your cloak, your shields, your beam, everything, so that you could keep track of everything on all of your vessels, all your units. They also had their price list here for that came within the box. Let's see here. Wow. So Alpha Omega, this game was $13 back then. Battle of the Bulge game was $13. So most of their games, it looks like, were $13. That gives you an idea of what games cost back then. And I have some of these. But that's all their games. I mean, they had a shit ton of games. So yeah, good old Avalon Hill. Then you had your rule book, which is pretty thin. I mean, but the type is really small. So even though it's not a real big rule book, there's a lot to read, and yeah, very small font. It's only 28 pages, but for a board game, I guess that's pretty significant for a board game. This is a ship specification chart on the back. It talks about all the different types of ships. You had destroyers, assault ships, interceptors, cruisers, battle cruisers, carriers, miners. They had all different kinds. And even the star base at the bottom, you had for the big star bases. And then you had one of these cards here, which has all of the different tables and stuff on it. Tables, charts, all that. And I think we saw the same thing in Panzer Leader, same type of thing. Now, here's the tricky part here. So this game, when I bought it, it's unpunched. Means it's in perfect condition. None of these have been punched. So I'm going to be very careful here because I don't want to accidentally punch them. But there's your counters and everything. So this is a game from the 70s, unpunched. And then these were all your ships. Again, I got to be very careful here. These were all the different types of ships, star bases, all that. And then I'll just show, there's like 3 or 4 panels to make up the game board. I'll just show one of them, because you guys will get the idea. There's your game board with all your grids and everything. And that's pretty much the game. So basically, I remember playing this with my buddy. He had the game. When I was a kid, his dad was an architect, so they were pretty wealthy. They were pretty well off. In contrast, we were not. So he bought that, like, he's the one who introduced me to D&D, because he had all the books. He could afford to, his parents gave him money to buy all the books and all that stuff. I couldn't buy jack shit at that time. So he introduced me to D&D. He introduced me to this Traveler, because I mean, whatever he wanted, he could just go buy it, you know. So and even in television, he was the first one that got in television. Um, and I remember playing it at his house, and we had to use because when you take all these panels out, it's a big game. Um, and it was like, to me, it was like Risk on steroids. Because we played a lot of Risk back in those days. The original vanilla Risk game, and this was even much more complex, obviously, and everything. And it would take sometimes days to finish a campaign in this. So, um, I think you'd like it too, Basti. But it's one of those things where you got to have the time to invest in playing it. You got to have the room to do it. So, like here, um, if we decided that we were going to take a break from D&D for a week or two or whatever, and we wanted to have a campaign of this, put out a game of this, we could put it there and just let it sit there, and you know, uh, it could go over 2 or 3 different sessions. People coming over, and you got to have the time, the space, all that to do that, because um, once you get it set up and everything, everybody knows how Risk is, where you don't want to be messing with the board, especially if they have to come back and try and finish the game. So this is even worse. So as long as you got the time, the space to invest in it, yeah, it's a blast. Don't let the cats on the game table. Yes. Well, our cat, I should say. It's my wife's cat. But for intents and purposes, I guess our cat, but that cat is not allowed down here for a multitude of reasons. One of which, some of my players in the campaign are allergic to cats. So I don't want cat hair down here causing them problems. Number two, that cat likes to chew on wires. So strike two, because there's a lot of wires in with all my computer stuff and everything. And strike three would be the cat getting up on the table and messing with the game pieces and game boards and all that. So yeah, so no pets down here. If I ever get a dog, I'm probably gonna get a small breed dog, and they wouldn't be able to get up on the. I wouldn't get a Jack Russell. Jack Russell probably could figure out a way to get up there, but I wouldn't get a Jack Russell. I'd get something else. So I want to get a bulldog, but my wife says no way because they drool. So Colin says I'm discovering the joy of kitties right now. I remember Colin, you saying something about you have more than one, a couple of cats, don't you? So that's the one thing I like about being a game collector, is that in addition to tabletop role playing games, which you guys have seen most of the stuff I have now, I have all these older games that are battle simulations and stuff like that. Um, I mean, you got your occasional card games and old regular board games and stuff like that, and then of course the vintage video games like my Intellivision, my Commodore 64. So there's no way and then painting mini, taking a break and just painting some minis once in a while. There's no way I could ever be bored. There's too much um, available to me to get bored, which is, I love that. Yes, the queen adopted me 2 months ago and produced 3 kittens a month ago. Oh, that's right. That's what it was. I remember you talking about it, about something like that. So did you keep all 3 kittens, or did you give 1 or 2 of them away? Because I mean, they don't stay kittens for very long, especially when they get into that chewing stage where they want to chew on everything. That becomes a problem. Gotcha. Yeah, as long as they're not, chewing through all your computer cords and all that stuff. I mean, we even had a puppy that did that. I'd go to play my Sega Genesis, and I'd turn on the TV, and I'd go to put on my Sega, and it wouldn't work, and I'm like, "What's wrong with my Sega?" I'd check the cartridge and all that, and I'm like, and then I'd go and I'd see, oh, power cable was chewed through, by the puppy. And it's like same thing back when we had landline telephones. I'd go to use the phone would be dead because the puppy chewed through the phone cord. So yeah, we went through that. So for those that came in later, like I said, I'm not feeling great, so I'm gonna probably stop it here pretty soon. Unless you guys have any specific questions or anything that you guys want me to talk about or ask me about. Um, I wanted to do the show and tell thing, talk a little bit about gaming news, go from there. So, oh, that's right, Basti. I remember you telling me that horror story that the dog chewed up some of the Star Wars action figures. Ooh, man. Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one. Well, of course, all the Star Wars action figures when I was a kid from the 70s, the original ones. I had the whole set with the collector box that you could buy to put them in, and I had the whole thing along with a shit ton of Legos and all kinds of stuff. Went into the army in basic training, came back from basic training. You're only gone for, I think I was gone for 16 weeks. Come back, my dad had gotten rid of all my stuff. He's like, "Well, you went in the army. I didn't think you'd want it anymore." I'm like, "Well, I wasn't going off to war, Dad. We were at peace. I wasn't going off to wartime. Um, you know, but he got rid of all that stuff. So, including my baseball cards. So, and I don't even want to think about what the baseball cards would be worth. So, anyway, anything else, guys, before I shut this thing down? I'm gonna do I'm sure I'll be feeling better tomorrow. I'll be doing the campaign update tomorrow. So yeah, he even not only did he shoot, but did you guys go to Gary's grave on your vacation? We did. We So here's the thing that you need to know about if that's something you're going to do if you ever go there, or if maybe you've already done it. For those that haven't, if you do choose to do that, um, they have this. I guess the cemetery has created a little receptacle at the gravestone because everybody was leaving D20s. Everybody was leaving their D20s, um, kind of as a tribute, and they were putting them right on the headstone. So now they've actually put a receptacle for you to just drop them into. And when we got there, there was already a bunch in there, and we just added ours to it. You know, so yep, yep, we both did it. So, but I won't show I'm not gonna share those pictures or whatever. That's um, it's considered. I guess it's considered disrespectful to put out pictures publicly of someone's gravestone without the family's, um, you know, I mean, you can. There's nothing illegal about it, but I guess it's untasteful. So, but we did. We did do that. Uh, so yeah, got to pay the homage and all that. So okay, guys. Well, I'm gonna shut her down. I will do the video tomorrow on the campaign update, going into some detail about how we almost had a TPK. And other than that, we'll catch you on the flip side. Cheers.